Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. My name is Matt Duncan. I'm a customer support advisor here at RealtyPilot. We're going to be going over some points of initial setup with your new account and some of the basic features of Concourse 360. If at any time you have a question throughout the webinar, feel free to type it into the chat on your GoToMeeting toolbar, and I'll answer those throughout the webinar as I can, and I'll take some time at the end of the webinar to work through the rest if you have more questions. So we're going to go ahead and get started with setting up your account when you first start. The first thing you want to do when you log in for the first time is navigate to the Account tab at the top of the screen. And by hovering over that, you'll get a drop-down menu. We're going to click on Account Details. Account Details will be step 1 of your setup process. And we'll move down to Edit in the lower right. Now here we have some of the account information that you entered when you created your account in the sign-up process. We want to verify that all this personal and company information is correct. And then we want to enter our real estate license and E&O information. License number, expiration date, and by clicking Browse, we can upload a copy of our real estate license. And the same for E&O, company name, expiration date, policy number, and again by clicking Browse, we can upload a copy of our E&O declarations page. These are very important requirements of the clients that we have using our platform to issue assignments. If you do not have your license and E&O information on your account, you may not be eligible for certain assignments. And we want to move down to our memberships and designations list. If you see more than one membership or designation that you've obtained, simply hold down the Control key on your keyboard to select multiples. Do the same for designations. And if there's a membership or designation that you have that you do not see in one of these two lists, simply enter it down here in the bio field. Asset managers have access to that as well. Once you've gone through all of these things and uploaded your files, go ahead and click Save. And we'll move on to some of the other tabs under Account Details, starting with Tax Information. Under Tax Information, you can upload a copy of your W-9. If you don't have a filled W-9 on hand, we have a link at the bottom that you can click to download a blank W-9. And then by clicking Browse, you can upload a copy of that W-9. Here under RPNet, you can sync your Concourse 360 and your Offer Runway accounts. If you are not familiar with OfferRunway.com, that is our sister site for offer management. Any properties, if you have these two accounts linked that you've entered into Concourse 360, when they move to active status, they will automatically appear on OfferRunway.com, which is public facing. You can direct all buyer's agents to OfferRunway.com to make their offer. When they make an offer on one of your properties on OfferRunway.com, again, if your accounts are linked here, that offer will come into your Concourse 360 account and you'll receive an email to accept, counter, decline, etc. So simply enter your username and password for OfferRunway.com here. Next, we have the Brokerage tab. If you are the managing broker of your company, you want to upload a copy of your company license here and a copy of your managing broker license here and click Save. And by doing so, you've created a request for a broker account. This goes to our support team. We review it to verify that you indeed are the managing broker of your company. When we approve a broker account, this doesn't change the cost of your account in any way. We simply issue a company ID. Now this company ID you want to give to your agents working underneath you, so that when they sign up for their own account, they are now tied to yours. You have administrative functionality over their account, such as viewing their files, assigning them tasks, looking at their listings, and tracking their commissions. Now, if you are not the managing broker of your company, but your managing broker has already signed up for an account, you can enter that company ID here and click Save to be added to that brokerage. Now, under the Checking tab, Concourse 360 does have integrated check writing abilities, so this is where you set up your checks. By clicking Browse, you can upload a copy of your company logo, enter your business name, bank name, starting check number, etc., and then your bank routing, account number, and upload a copy of your signature here. Underneath, you'll select the style of check stock that you use, and when you click Save Changes, you're ready to start writing checks with the program. Now, last but not least, under Account Details, we have the Signature tab. This is where you can enter a default signature that will appear at the bottom of all emails sent from within the system. And when you click Save Changes, that will automatically appear on all of your emails. Once you've worked through all of these tabs, you're done with step 1, and you're ready to move down to step 2, which again under the Account tab will be MLS information. Now when you signed up for your account, you already entered one MLS. If you did not do that as part of the sign-up process, or you're a member of more than one MLS, you can add those MLSs here by clicking Add MLS Access. Select the state and the MLS that you are a member of. Now here we do have blank fields for RETS username, RETS password, etc. If you're not familiar with a RETS connection, that stands for Real Estate Transaction Standard, and all that is simply a electronic connection between your MLS and your account here with us. This allows you to import MLS data simply by entering an MLS number. RETS usernames and passwords typically have to be signed up for on an individual basis with your MLS. So once you've entered this MLS, leave the RETS username and password information blank and send an email to our MLS department at rets@realtypilot.com, and I'm typing that into the chat for you to make note of it, and inquire of them if there are any additional steps to get your RETS connection up and running. That'll complete step 2 of setup. The third and final step will be entering all of your zip codes. To the upper right-hand corner next to your name, you'll see a field that says zips. Click there. And here you can enter all the zip codes in your area that you service. Again, this is very important for accepting assignments in our platform, as the first criteria is determined by the asset manager is the zip code of that particular asset. So you want to have as many zips on your account as possible. You can add one single zip by clicking Add Zip here, or by clicking Add Zips. You can add an entire state, county, or city at one time. To check to see if you have a particular zip entered on your account, you can click the Expand Search to the upper right and filter this information by one zip, state, county, or city. Once you've done all 3 of those things, your account is ready to go and you are ready to receive assignments. So we'll move into our main property menu. Here under Properties to the upper left, this is our main menu. We have several different categories here, starting with a complete list of all of your properties. This includes listings and purchases. And then each one of these additional categories would be an overview of all of your leads on every property, all of your tasks, all of your expenses, etc. If you wanted to see a particular lead on a particular property or task, expense, etc., you can either search for that property under your main properties list, or enter the address to the upper right under Go To Property to open that property file. So we'll start by clicking on Properties, Listings, and Purchases. And this is your main list of all of your properties on your account. So we'll go over some of the information that you see in this overview on each property file. Starting to the left, we have the CID. This stands for Concourse ID. This is your property file number. Notice if you hover over that ID, you do get a dialog box that gives you some additional information such as PID, lockbox code, and any additional info that you've entered on the property when you created it in the system. Next, we have an overview of any activity happening with this property. We have a legend here at the bottom for these 3 color codes. Green being how many open tasks you have on this property. Yellow is how many leads you have on this property, and red how many offers. Here we display whether this is a listing or a purchase property, the property address, transaction type, traditional, REO, short sale, HUD, etc., list price, expiration date, days on market, the status that the property is in, and you can change that status by clicking the property status here and selecting from the drop-down menu. Now the system will not allow you to change a property status until all tasks are complete, because tasks can be relative to status. We have the agent assigned to this property. If you hover over it, you can view agent information. And then we have a number of different functions. Now remember, the functions are defined in a legend at the bottom of the screen. But to go over them very quickly, the first function is our notes function. And if we click there, we can add a note pertaining to this property. If this was assigned to you through the system, asset managers do have the ability to view any notes that you enter unless you click this checkbox to make it a private note. And then any other actions that take place on the property will appear chronologically as a note in this list as well. So things like completed tasks, uploaded documents, emails sent, etc., all will appear as notes. By selecting any number of notes and clicking the checkbox to the right, you can choose to send all those notes in an email. By clicking the folder, we can view property details, which we'll get into in a moment. The pencil will allow us to edit property details. This clipboard will add an inspection report. The $ adds a BPO. The person here will add a lead. We can add a transaction here if the property has been moved to pending status and we've accepted an offer. This next function will allow us to merge two properties if we've mistakenly entered a property as a duplicate. We want to merge those together so that any notes, documents, tasks, etc. all become part of one single property file. And then by clicking here, you can delete the property. If you delete the property, it does not disappear from your account. It still retains all of its notes, documents, etc. It just no longer affects your reporting. At the top here, in this and every section in Concourse 360, we can always click the Expand Search and filter this information to look for a specific address, all properties in a particular status, a particular agent, etc. To add a new listing or purchase, we'll click Add New Listing or Add New Purchase. In this case, we'll add a new listing. We'll select the property type, the transaction type, and the status of this property when we're adding it. If this is an REO or a HUD, we want to select the asset company. If you don't see a particular company in this list, you can add them by clicking here. And then we'll add that asset manager or a contact within that company. Again, if you don't see them, you can add them here or edit their information here. Enter the PID, loan number, and then we'll enter specific property information. Now, if you have obtained a RETS connection from your MLS, you can enter the MLS number here and import it. What you want to do first is under MLS Provider, select the MLS that you're attempting to import from if you have more than one on your account, and then make sure that you verify the property class so the system is importing the correct type of property. Then we'll enter the listing number. When we click the green Import button, if you have that RETS connection, address, city, state, etc., some of this basic information will fill automatically. If you do not have a RETS connection, you'll just enter these few fields manually. Any additional information that you'd like to enter, we have a field for here. And then on the bottom, we have our accounting section where you can enter list commission, buyer broker commission, referral fee, company split, and add any team members. You want this information under accounting to be as accurate as possible because you can create customized commission reports based on each agent, asset company, etc. And when we click Save, this property is now in our list of manageable property files. So we'll start with a particular property by clicking the address to open that file. And we're automatically taken to the overview of the property details tab. Now in this overview, we have some general info. We have client information, members of our sales team assigned to this property, and then an overview again of any activity, tasks, expenses, etc. We have a map of the subject here, and any photos that we've uploaded to this property file we can scroll through here. Now the property details tab does have several subcategories. We have our MLS tab, which is just additional MLS data, such as residence type, garage. You can enter occupancy status, etc. You can edit this by clicking here. Our HOA tab is coming soon. And then we have our utilities tab. Now we'll go over utilities, tasks, and expenses kind of together as one because they do all relate together. So as soon as you receive an assignment, you're going to add your utilities as manageable line items here under the utility tab by clicking Add New Utility. Whether this utility has been verified as being on or off, the utility type, this particular utility company. Again, if you don't see them in this list, you can click this button to add them. If you've already turned on your utility, you can enter your account number here. Select a service on date. If you enter today's date or a date in the past, this is here for your record. If you enter a date in the future, the system will create a task instructing you to turn that utility on that day. Same with off date. And when we click Save, we now have this utility with some quick information as an overview, whether the service is on, the utility type, company, account number, and then your service dates. When we receive our first bill from this utility company, we'll scan that bill onto our computer and then add it as an expense to this individual utility by clicking Add Expense here and filling in the required information. When we do this, this expense will automatically appear under the Expenses tab, which we'll go over shortly. Now under Tasks, the system has 3 different types of tasks. We have an internal task, which is for someone in your brokerage, which is simply called a task. We have a bid task, which is an email sent out to the system to any number of vendors requesting a bid. And we have a work order task, which is an email sent by the system to any number of vendors requesting work be completed. We'll start with an internal task by clicking Add New Task. And when we click Add New Task, we can select a previously saved task from the task library. If it's not a task that we've used previously, we'll enter a task name, such as Order Sign Up. Enter a due date. We can assign this to someone in our brokerage, or we can leave it open to be claimed. By checking here, the system will send an email alert to either the person you've assigned this task to, or to everyone in your brokerage if the task was left open, notifying them that they do have a task. If there's a required document, we can select it here. By clicking Required Document, a document has to be uploaded to complete the task. We can click here if there's a broker signature required. If we'd like to tie this to the transaction on the property, we'll click here. And if we'd like to save this particular task for use in the future, we'll click here to add it to the task library. Enter specific instructions here, and then when you click Save, you'll have that task here in your list of tasks. Any tasks that are left open can be claimed by an individual by clicking the green flag to the right. If they've been assigned specifically to someone or already claimed, the system will tell you exactly who it's assigned to, and by hovering over the task name, we can view any instructions that were left on the task. We can filter this information by task in a particular status because the system defaults to only open tasks on a particular property. We can filter by tasks assigned to a specific user, etc. Moving on to bid task. If we have a repair on one of our REOs that the client requires that we request 3 bids, for example, we'll click Add New Bid Task. Again, we can select from the task library. Enter a due date that you need the bid back by. By clicking Add Additional Vendor, you can put more vendors that this email will be sent to. We'll select our vendors and the contact at each vendor. And now, when we create this task, all 3 of these vendors will receive an email from the system requesting a bid for this repair. If there's a particular file that is required, such as a client bid form, we can upload it here. Select if this document is required, if it needs a signature, if we'd like to save this to the task library, and if you'd like to create the bid task but not send the email to these vendors, you can click here. This next field is what the system will fill in for the subject of the email. And then we have the body of our email. So if we have any particular instructions on requesting this bid, we'll enter it here. And when we click Save, the system automatically created 3 tasks, 1 for each of the vendors that we've entered on this bid task. When we receive each of these bids back via email, we'll save them to our computer and then upload them to each individual bid task by clicking the yellow Complete Bid. And remember, we have a legend at the bottom to remind you of all these functions. So we have our bid. We'll click Complete Bid, enter the bid amount, click Browse to upload a copy of the bid, enter the date to complete, and any special notes. We'll do this as we receive each of these 3 bids from each of our vendors. Notice that when we've uploaded that bid, 2 things happen to this bid task. Number 1, a copy of the bid that we've uploaded is displayed here for you to view. And number 2, our yellow flag turned blue. When you've received all 3 bids and submitted them to your client is going to accept one of those bids. So in the system, we'll go to the bid that the client has accepted, click the blue flag to accept that bid, upload a copy of the work order file if we have one, if the date to complete is changed, and then any notes. Now when we click complete, a couple of things are going to happen. Number 1, those other 2 vendors whose bids were not accepted automatically will receive an email from the system notifying them that our client did not accept the bid. And number 2, the bid that we did accept has now been converted into a work order. So the system will automatically create an email requesting the work be done and that their bid was accepted. And when we click save, that bid has now turned into a work order task. And when the work is completed and the vendor sends us a copy of the invoice, we'll click here to complete this work order task, upload a copy of the invoice, enter any notes, and when we click complete, that work order task has disappeared from our list of open tasks, and now we have that work order listed under expenses as a manageable expense on our list. So here under expenses, we have a list of all of our expenses that were either added by adding an expense in the utilities tab or by completing a work order with an invoice. If we have a new expense to add that is not attached to a utility or to a particular work order, we can click Add New Expense here to the upper left. Enter the date, the description, the property address is already filled, so we'll select our category, which is going to be either utility or vendor. Select the company name, invoice number, the total of the invoice, any notes that you have, and by clicking Browse, we can upload a copy of the invoice. And when we click Save, we now have another manageable expense. So looking at each expense, we have an overview of some information, such as the completion date, a description of the expense, invoice amount, and the vendor. But most importantly, to the right, we have columns for if we've paid the vendor, if we've submitted that expense, and if we've received reimbursement on that expense from the servicer. So looking at each expense, we can view any files associated with that expense by clicking here. And when we click there, we'll have a copy of the invoice, the bill, any checks that we've created, etc. Now when you upload a new expense, we can click here to select this expense. And to pay that vendor, we can click Create Individual Check, enter a check date, and when we click Save, the system displays this expense as paid, and there's a copy of that check here under Files for you to view, print on check stock, and also send with your submission as proof of payment. When it comes time to submit your expenses, we can select any number of them, again by clicking to the right. You have to submit typically on the client's individual portal and then send an email with supporting documentation on each of those expenses. So to send that email, we've selected those expenses. We'll click Email Selected Docs. Enter the body of our email. If you have the client listed properly on this particular property, the system will already know where to send it to. Then we have a list of files associated with each of those expenses that we've selected. We can check off which ones we'd like to send with this email, copies of the checks, invoices, etc. And if you'd like to merge all of those files into one single PDF attachment, click the checkbox here and enter a name of that file. Then select which page you'd like to be the first. When you click Send, those expenses that you just emailed are now displayed as submitted. When you receive a reimbursement check from your client, you can select those expenses again and enter your reimbursement date. And now for your reporting purposes, you can filter by what's been paid, what has not been paid, submitted, received, etc. And you can do all of that under the My Expenses tab. And again, filtering your search to create custom reports. Now moving on to the Photos tab. Under Photos, we can upload photos of the property. The system automatically has one photo tab or category called General. If you need to create an additional category, you can click the plus sign and enter the new category name here, such as Exterior. When you click Save, you now have an additional category. To move photos into that category, select any number of them. Under Move to Group, select the category, click that Move to Group button, and now the photo that you selected has been moved from General to Exterior. Within each category, you can rearrange the order of your photos. By selecting the photos, you can choose to have these photos appear on your public-facing listing on Offer Runway. You can download them, send them as an attachment in an email, or create a photo addendum out of them. Under the Notes tab, this is what we were looking at when we went over the functions in the properties. You can add a note. You can view all completed tasks and emails sent, again chronologically as a note. But in here, you can filter your search by note text or a range of dates. We've gone over tasks and expenses, so moving on to documents. Here we have a list of all documents associated with this property file. We have the name of the document, if this was associated with a task, a transaction, an invoice, a bid, etc., the date it was added, who it was added by, the status this document was added in, file size, if this is a required document or a broker required document. We can add notes to individual documents, edit their name, download them, email them, or delete them. To add a new document, we'll click Add New Document, name this document, click Browse to upload it, and then tell the system if this document is required, if it requires a signature, and what type of document this is, if this is associated with a task, an offer, bid, transaction, etc. Again, we can filter this information by clicking Expand Search, look for a particular document name, documents that were added to a particular status, required documents, etc. Moving on to the Leads tab. Here under Leads, we have a list of any leads that have been entered on this property. These are sorted by open leads, converted leads, and trashed leads. Again, we can expand our search to filter this list. To add a new lead, we'll click Add New Lead, enter the source, and the lead information, first and last name of the lead, etc. Now, if you enter an agent-to-agent referral fee, either percentage or dollar-based, any lead that's entered on this property will automatically be assigned to the listing agent associated with this property for the first time frame set by your managing broker. After that time frame has expired, this lead will become available to all other agents within the brokerage. And after that time frame has expired, this lead will become available to all agents using our system within your zip code. So a listing agent entering a lead on their property can enter a referral fee so that if no one picks up this lead within your company, another buyer's agent can pick it up, call the lead, convert it, close the deal, and receive a referral fee from your listing agent. Our Showings tab is coming soon. Next we have our Offers tab. Now since this is a test account and we cannot put properties in test accounts on our public-facing portion of Offer Runway, we obviously do not have the functions listed here for OfferRunway.com, but any offers that are made in Offer Runway will appear here automatically with a list of functions to accept, decline, verbal accept, counter, etc. Moving on to transactions, once you've accepted an offer in the system, you can complete all your tasks, change the property status to pending, and then add a transaction. So we'll move back to a property that is in pending status so that we can add a transaction. We'll use this one. So to add a new transaction, we'll click Add New Transaction. Enter our mortgage company name, the individual loan officer. Again, if you don't see that company name or individual's name, you can add them here. We'll do the same with title company, title officer, asset company, etc. Enter our sold price, and then dates for contract date, close of escrow, earnest money, etc. And when we save it, we now have a transaction listed on this property. Any tasks or documents that have been associated with this transaction will automatically appear in a list here for quick viewing and completion. And all of those dates that we've entered on this transaction will appear on your transaction calendar. Your transaction calendar shows all estimated dates on all transactions for all of your properties in the system in a quick 30-day overview based on the month. And last but not least, we have our Inspections tab. Now under the Inspections tab, if you've completed an inspection by hand in the field, you can click Add New Inspection Report and enter that information from your inspection, such as date of visit, time of visit, answering the questions, entering any notes, and uploading all of your photos here. We have recently launched our new Property Inspector app for iPhone, iPod, and iPad. Android is coming soon. If you have an inspector or an agent that has the app on their phone, you can click Schedule Inspection, enter a date, any special instructions, and when you click Save, the system adds a task under Tasks here, where you can assign that inspection. That inspection can be claimed, and it has a due date instructing someone to complete that task on that day. On that day, your inspector will go out to the field, use their app to complete the inspection with the same questions that we just showed here. And when they do complete it, it will be displayed in your list of completed inspections here. And all of your photos will be under the Photos tab in a new category labeled as Inspection with that particular date. Now, before we disconnect, I'm going to go over some of the support features of RealtyPilot. Under the Support tab, we have a number of resources. We have our knowledge base, which is a collection of text articles on different topics, definitions, etc. Our training video library, if you need a refresher course on any of the things that we've gone over today. By clicking Live Chat, you can open a private chat room with you and one of our customer support agents. After hours, any issues that you have, you can submit a ticket. This is automatically assigned to the next customer support agent that comes in. Our hours are 6 a.m. to 8 p.m. Monday through Friday, Pacific time. During those hours, you can always call us at 888-732-5745. And again, I'm typing that into the chat for you to make note of it. Or send us an email to support@realtypilot.com. Now what I'm going to do is mute my microphone. I'm going to take 5 or 10 minutes, work through some of the questions that we've had throughout the webinar. So if you have any additional questions, go ahead and type them into the chat right now, and I'll get to you in just a few. I appreciate you joining us today. I hope it was helpful. Thank you for using RealtyPilot, and have a wonderful day.